Among the most respected brokerages in Mumbai, in India indeed, is Motilal Oswal Securities. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's August 29 to 31, is the three most important days for Motilal Oswal. So, on the eve of that big occasion, which is the 12th annual investor conference of Most, Mountain decided to visit Mohammed. Anuj and I have decided to invite ourselves to the Motilal Oswal head office, where we have the brains trust of this company with us. We have Raamdeo himself, Raamdeo Agrawal, Naveen Agrawal, and Rajat Rajgarya, the brains trust of Motilal Oswal, with us to tell us about this all-important seminar and, of course, the situation, the stock market situation in which we find ourselves on the eve of your very important seminar. But first, Raamdeo, tell us about the seminar itself. You know, you always make it big, but this time it's bigger than big. The biggest life insurance company in the private sector, the biggest stock exchange, the biggest two-wheeler company, and the most important of ministers, Piyush Goyal, is going to be addressing.
Yes.
So first tell us, how big is the 12th investor conference?
Yeah, so every investor conference is becoming bigger, and it should be like that. And this time, it's a middle of this new government, and Achhe Din is still, people are waiting, and it is just about, so people are, very in an introspective mood to see what's happening here. Globally, there's a lot of gloom. Negative interest rate environment is there. Growth is a big problem. People are searching for yield. Pension funds are likely to go bust, not being able to meet their defined benefits for their customers. So the search for growth is really very hard. And in that backdrop, India is one place which is looking to be very, very interesting. And one that we have a huge potential. We are just about $1,500 per capita, $2 trillion. So $2 trillion looks a little big, but per capita it's just about 1,500, 1,600. So we have a long way to go, and we have current account deficit, fiscal deficit, inflation under control now, good monsoon, new leadership, ease of doing business being the theme of the government, developmental politics is taking roots. I think very interesting times. So in that backdrop, this conference is here.
That's interesting. Raamdeo, last year at the conference, the Nifty was at same level, the markets were at same level, but the sentiment was different. The market was at that point sliding, and now we have a rising market. So things have changed, even though the market may not have moved much. But what's been the feedback, the initial feedback from your investors?
I think Rajat is more in touch with the customers on day-to-day basis, so he would be able to tell you more about that. But as far as the domestic customers are concerned, where I am in touch with that, and I was telling you just now, there's so much of concern about market being, at a high level. Stocks are expensive, NBFCs are through the roof, and hence it's a time to take the money out and go for retirement types. Like a lot of guys are making a very permanent type of call and all. I've never seen this kind of, and markets have done so well. And all the products, mutual fund products and all, they're all-time high. And this is a redemption because of high performance. I understand redemption because of non-performance. But this is a time when people are pulling out from the market because market has done very well. They're scared of, repeat of 2008. People are scared of 2008 and all. But at current market cap of, say, 72-73% to GDP, always market can correct by 10-15%. But I don't see any kind of crash or big thing happening here. So that fear right now, at least domestic investors are kind of very happy that they have made money, but they are kind of withdrawn. They are withdrawing actually at the mood, either they are not buying or they are in the mood to redeem. That's the mood in the domestic market. I think Rajat can guide you about...
Actually, globally you can make a case for doom as well. If there are negative yields and all-time low interest rates, they actually are factoring in a depression economy or a recession economy. At the same time, earnings are also, faced with their highest valuations. One of them has to give, is the argument. What is the sense you are getting? Do we break out of this long period of consolidation on the upside or on the downside, and why?
If you look at our earnings growth phases over the last 25 years, the CAGR over this period always works to be 13 to 15%. But you typically get 5 years of 25% and 5 years of 0 to 5% growth. I think we have overlived this period of less than 5% growth for the last 7 years. You know, we may be off by a quarter or two, right? But I think you can definitely start sensing that strong double-digit growth is just lying ahead, right? Coming back to what Anuj just asked Raamdeo about global investors' mood, I think year after year you see foreigners continuing to pump money into India. Over the last 15 years, with an exception of 1 or 2 years, every year they have been net buyers. Most of the big traded stocks, the majority of the ownership after the promoters now lies with the foreign investors, right? That's why many of the stocks keeps on hitting the limits. So I think it's also a function of how much supply of paper that we can offer to global investors, because somewhere the flows are also partly constrained by what they can buy. But the mood amongst the foreign investors for investing in India is very positive right now.
That acronym that you have made famous, QLGP, quality, longevity, growth and price. Let me pick up growth because that's the big theme that you are banking on. You have always picked up consistency of growth. But if you looked at this year's performance, let's take banks, because HDFC Bank is one of the first invited companies in your list. Actually, year to date, State Bank has delivered a higher return than HDFC Bank in terms of stock returns only. So would you now look at the economy-facing sectors with a slightly different eye? Would you look at sectors that normally don't come in your Focus 25 or your Focus 35? Would you look at state-owned banks, for instance?
I mean, incidentally, just to put the records right, we have State Bank of India, and all the way from the top to bottom, we stay down. So we have suffered with State Bank's fluctuations. So State Bank is a very different case. I mean, it is 24-25% of the entire banking system. I mean, it's such a big rock. Howsoever hard you push, it will not go down. You know, eventually it will climb up. So with that faith, we have some allocation out there. But as far as the secular growth stories are concerned, in fact, what is happening is this is a really testing time for which are good franchises, particularly in financial sector and even in other sectors, because when the economy is slow, which ones have those differentiated strategy or an ambition or extra work which can give you that extra bounce in terms of earnings, 20%, 25%, 30%. And that's why the companies which have quality franchise and a growth, QG, both are there. And there are very few, maybe 150, 200 companies. Those companies are being lapped up. And I'm not going to, we popularly say, don't come in front of speeding truck. So I'm not going to sell my well-running franchises and go for something which may become very good.
And since we're talking about a train that you boarded, one of the trains was Infosys. I don't see any of the big IT companies being invited or being part of the conference. Is your view changing? I mean, after the commentary from Infosys, Raamdeo, because we spoke about it in our show as well, that you've taken a big bet on Infosys. Is that changing a bit?
Portfolio is one thing, conference is yet another. Conference is sell-side conference. We have to reflect the mood of the markets, mood of the investors. I mean, ultimately what people are wanting to listen. I mean, it's an ultimately limited 15, 16 tracks, and in that you have to accommodate all kinds of guys. Yes. And the new ones also say, like, you have now the first time insurance is coming up. The best and the biggest insurance company is presenting. So that will give, I mean, it's a large sector anywhere in the world. In India, it's small. So that opens up a new mindset. I mean, even I'm eagerly waiting to listen to HDFC Life. I have met all of them, but yet I would like to listen in the public forum what exactly is the opportunity, how things look, and what are other guys saying, what is the experience in other parts of the world. So it's a very large country, young country, where insuring, life insurance possibility is massive. We're just about to start it. They have broken even barely in the last 2-3 years. So the runway is very long if there is a profitable growth. So like that, which are the other companies which are coming for the first time, the sectors?
So we have a panel where the whole new bank licenses are participating, so that's a new segment which is now coming up.
One of the biggest contribution of Dr. Rajan was opening up the banking sector for the private sector, and finally he has even put it on the tap. So this actually it is not being talked about as if it is something, one of the things which they have done. But it's a huge revolution. I mean, we get to see after 10 years, after 20 years of limited opening, we have seen the market cap of HDFC, ICICI, Axis, Kotak being much bigger than 75% of PSU banks. What is going to happen in the next 10 years? These banks are going to become very large. So he was talking about that.
If you just look at the whole market and the growth outlook over the next 5-7 years, the two big sectors, one is financials and second is consumption, right? And the consumption paradigm is just getting more and more broader, right? So that's why we have United Breweries, Pidilite, somewhere Bajaj Auto do benefit from the consumption theme. So the conference has some of these very interesting companies and the CEOs sharing their views on what the next 3 to 5 year growth outlook for them is looking like, right?
I think this conversation is getting into a very interesting turn, but we have to take a break. They've just started talking about the United Breweries and the Pidilites. They will talk more. We are back in a minute.